What's good everyone, it's Closet Weeb back at it again with some more JRPG content, and today we're going to be analyzing the new Lost Judgment trailer that just dropped on Friday. RGG gave us a ton of details about the overall premise of the game in this trailer, and today I'm going to be dissecting key moments to see what juicy theories we can craft from it, and to help give you guys a better understanding of what we can expect plot-wise when the game reaches our hands in September. Now before I dive in, there will be mild spoilers for the setting of past games, like the first Judgment, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, which also takes place in Yokohama, so naturally there can be some potential overlap between the two. Without further ado, let's get into it. The trailer starts off in a courtroom where we're introduced to Akihiro Ehara, a seemingly normal middle-aged man, sentenced to 6 months of jail time for harassment. He's asked to sit down for the prosecution to provide their rationale, but he remains standing and tells the judge about a body that turned up in Yokohama in a warehouse 3 days prior. In between his big reveal, we see that Sayori and Issei, staff from the Genda Law Office in the first Judgment, are involved with the case, likely as the defense for Ehara. Ehara reveals that the body found in the warehouse belonged to Hiro Mikoshiba, who allegedly drove Ehara's son to suicide, without ever being accused of a crime. Upon first glance, there doesn't appear to be too much details about Mikoshiba's identity, but later on in the trailer we're introduced to an unnamed female figure telling Yagami about her high school experience, where she witnessed bullying firsthand. This, on top of the fact that RGG announced that a high school in Yokohama would be a major addition to the Yokohama map, packed with side stories and fully detailed floors and rooms, tells me that Mikoshiba and Ehara's son likely went to high school together, and Mikoshiba could have very well bullied Ehara's son into committing suicide. We even get to see a picture of Mikoshiba in the trailer, and he's very much fresh-faced enough to be a high school student. Now, why would Ehara start groping a woman just to get in front of a judge to reveal the details of the murder, putting himself as a prime suspect for it at that? With Ehara's disdain for the justice system, it's clear that the case likely would not have gained enough media attention to be pursued further, so this could have been his way of shining a light on the case. After the court scene, Yagami suggests that the culprit of the murder was likely a hitman hired by Ehara, which would not be a stretch, considering that we find out that the Yokohama Liumang, a Chinese gang introduced in Like a Dragon, is after Yagami for looking into the case. This news was revealed by a croppy-haired man in a red jacket, whom I suspect is an ally to Yagami in Yokohama, as evidenced by him being seen again near the end of the trailer running away from what appears to be the Yokohama Liumang on a boat, and the fact that his face is cut right next to a clip of director Genda during Yagami's touching monologue. Throughout the trailer, this theme of crooked justice is constantly brought up, so it's no surprise that in a social media clip of Ehara on the day he was caught for harassment, a headline reveals that he was actually a police officer. I would not be surprised if Ehara had deep connections to Yokohama's Underworld, and had some sort of influence over not just Yokohama Liumang, but other members of the Ijin 3, i.e. the serial clan Yakuza or the Korean Mafia, but we'll delve more into this later. Now, onto the most controversial clip of the trailer, where we see Yagami walk into a dimly lit room with what appears to be a woman in a white blazer on the ground. We see Suguira and Kaito from the first game walk in as well, with a mortified look on their face, as if they witnessed a gruesome murder. Yagami starts trembling and lets out a loud scream. So the fate of whomever this was definitely not good, to say the least. I'm seeing a lot of speculation that the second victim was likely Mafuyu, a prosecution lawyer from the first game that Yagami appeared to have an intimate relationship history with. At first glance, this makes a lot of sense, seeing as she's the only character we know that wears a white blazer, and the only other woman I can think of whose death would impact Yagami to this degree. But a part of me still questions whether she actually dies or not. When you break down Yagami's last words of the trailer, his choice of wording is particularly interesting. She can't say her piece without a voice, so if I don't raise mine for her, what justice prevails? If we were to take this literally, there is a possibility that Mafuyu, or whoever this victim is, lost their voice after damage to their vocal cords. Considering that the murderer's MO appears to be slitting people's throats, this damage to the vocal cords is definitely not a stretch. If it is indeed Mafuyu who is the victim, and if she were left to live without a voice, think about how much more impact that would have on themes of crooked justice for the story. Mafuyu, a prosecution lawyer who literally can no longer speak out against injustice, due to the consequences of crooked or false justice from people like Ehara. On the other hand, I think it's also likely that the woman could be a high school student in Yokohama, who has close ties to the case, like the unnamed high school girl talking to Yagami earlier, or perhaps an unidentified student that we meet in the Yokohama High School. Either way, I can see both murders impacting Yagami this significantly, as in both cases, Yagami is bound to have built some sort of rapport with the character. After Yagami's roar, we're met with the prompt, "Darkness lurks," and are introduced to two characters that very much look like members of Yokohama's Underworld. The first one sporting a bright red slick-back hairstyle and cheetah print, with what appears to be another gang member with a punch perm and slick-back, and a dark-suited male with black hair and an ice pick in his hand, similar to the one Hamura held in the first game. The fact that the thugs in the background of both shots all look very yakuza-esque, with slick-back hairstyles, suits, and an OG Daigo Dojima jacket in the mix, I think it's safe to assume these are yakuza, and even potentially remnants of the Yokohama Seiryu clan from Like a Dragon. I think it's also safe to assume that Ehara's connection to the underworld encapsulates both Yokohama Liumang and the yakuza in Yokohama, both factions introduced in Yakuza Like a Dragon. These two gangs were both part of the Ijin 3, a pseudo-alliance of Yokohama's underworld whom banded together to protect the city from outside threats like the Omi Alliance, so it'd be no surprise if both groups share the same goals to protect the secrets of this case, whether that be to earn a paycheck from Ehara, or to protect the identity of the murderer to save their own skin. After the introduction of the underworld characters, we're shown a clip of the unnamed high school girl I mentioned earlier, stating some interesting words. "Back when I was a student in high school, I witnessed bullying firsthand, and still, I just let history repeat itself. Clearly, this girl has a connection to Ehara's son, likely as a bystander to the bullying he endured from the hands of Mikoshiba." The trailer continues to shock us, with a quick shot of our boy Suguira face down on the floor of a dark room. Personally, I think he's likely just severely injured and not actually dead, as viewers aren't given much time to process this clip, unlike the first clip of the second victim, where we have Yagami and the gang literally trembling in shock for a good 5 to 10 seconds. The trailer proceeds to introduce a bulky character, whom, based on the dialogue, is likely a member of the Kanagawa Police, officially investigating the case. It's a classic conflict between vigilante detective and official law enforcement. And that's about it for the trailer analysis, guys. If you enjoyed the breakdown and some of the theories posed in this video, feel free to smash that like button and subscribe for more JRPG and anime content. All in all, whether I hit the nail on the head with some of these or I'm just totally off, I can't wait to play this game and get engrossed in the gameplay and story. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.